Hey there, I'm John Colgan, founder and CEO of Cellbreaker.com. I had a couple conversations recently with two friends in the construction industry. We were talking business, and they both sort of told me a problem they were facing. They were looking for some advice. And what I discovered is that the answer to both of their problems, even though they were both different problems, was the same answer. And to me, as a startup founder, this seems so obvious, but I wonder if it's as obvious in more established small businesses, especially Main Street businesses, to whom a lot of the lean startup type material is not really heavily marketed. So I just wanted to do a quick video and sort of share that dialogue. Hopefully it would be helpful to others. So friend number one, let's call him Tom. So Tom works for his family's commercial construction business. Been in business about 23 years in the same area. They have a client base that's about 80% multifamily and about 20% commercial. And the problem he came to me with was we really want to reverse that. We want to have about 80% commercial, 20% multifamily. Problem is, most of our business comes from the fact that yes, we do good work, but we've been doing business in this area for so long that we just get a lot of referrals, particularly in the multifamily space. Managers who worked at, say, one apartment property left and went to work for a different company, and so they were sort of the guy that would always suggest calling us. So that's kind of how we came to dominate the local multifamily space. So the question he asked me was like, how do we go about trying to get more commercial customers? Where do we start? And so what I suggested was, let's start with the 20% commercial that you already have, your existing customers. Let's do some customer interviews. Why don't you go to them and say, why is it you're doing business with us? Ask them a series of questions that sort of give you some qualitative data on how you came to acquire that initial base of commercial customers, and then see if there's anything there that you could replicate, invest in, to continue to grow your commercial arm. And to him, I think that seemed like a pretty profound suggestion. Talk to my customers, interview my customers. To me as a startup founder, it's pretty basic stuff, but it turns out that was the solution to his problem, and now he's moving along and acquiring more commercial business. Another conversation I had recently, another guy in the commercial construction space, but whereas Tom, his company is sort of the general contractor, this other guy, we'll call him Rick. Rick, it's his family's business as well. They're a subcontractor, and in particular they install glass in commercial buildings. And so, talking to Rick, Rick's problem was slightly different. He said, look, our business is growing, we're driving revenue month over month, year over year. We're adding new employees, new capital expenditures to sort of keep up with demand, and all of that's good. We're continuing to win bids. Problem is it's not really clear to me why all of this growth is happening, and therefore it's not really clear how we can continue to drive that growth in times when the stars just don't seem to align. So I asked him a couple of preliminary questions that, again, as a startup founder, seem pretty basic to me. I asked him what he thought was driving that growth. Like, what are your thoughts? What are your ideas? Dug a little bit deeper. I asked him, if you don't know, actually, the way commercial bids work is a general contractor will get a job, and then he'll send out for bid all of the different parts of that job to usually 2 or 3 subcontractors per part. So, for example, Rick, he's in glass. Rick will be competing against 1 or 2 other subcontractors who are in glass, and the GC will decide whether or not he's going to select Rick or one of Rick's competitors. And so I asked Rick, how do your bids tend to stack up against your competitors? Are you high, medium, low? And Rick said, we tend to be middle or to high. We're very seldom the least expensive bid, but we tend to get a lot of the business. We tend to be selected a lot. And so I asked him, why is this, do you think? And he said, I think it's because we do quality work. And he went on to describe a couple of examples how Rick's company would bid a job, and they would budget for a certain number of hours, and they would just come in 100 hours under budget or something like this. Just ridiculous stuff. The crew is just working overtime. They're doing quality work, and they're doing it super fast. which allows everyone involved in the project to cut costs, and most importantly in construction, to actually meet deadlines. So it's just that Rick's company does quality work, they're dependable, and so it turns out in Rick's view, the driver of that growth is the fact that the guys actually on the job, the crew, are just doing really quality work, and they're working their asses off. And so Rick's sort of suspicion that he had even before he talked to me was like, I think we should implement some sort of performance incentive as part of the crew's compensation. And so Rick is a part owner in the company. He's talking to the other part owner in the company, who's the majority owner, and the majority owner just doesn't seem to be on the same page with Rick. The majority owner doesn't think that implementing an incentive, performance incentive, is worthwhile or will actually have any sort of impact. So anyway, it seems like we outlined it, at least in my conversation with Rick, to a point where we realized that the driver of growth is the quality of the work that the guys on the crew do, their actual performance. Seems like that's the main reason Rick's company gets the bids. So I said, okay, Rick, here's what you need to do. You need to go out and get some qualitative data. Why don't you pick up the phone, call some of your customers, some of your GCs who tend to send you the bids and to select you whenever you submit a bid for a job, and just ask them very simply, look, why are you doing business with us? Why do you choose us over these other people? We're obviously not the cheapest. What is the reason you keep coming back? Get some qualitative data, and then you can take that to all the other partners in the company, and you guys can make a decision. And again, as a startup founder, this doesn't seem like rocket science to me, but to Rick, family construction business, Main Street business, been around for decades. It just seems like really innovative thinking. And so anyway, Rick was like, can you send me an email with some suggested questions? So I told Rick, how we do this in our own business, Cellbreaker.com. The 4 questions I tend to ask every customer are these. 1, what prompted you to want to get out of your cell phone contract? So in other words, we're sort of digging at, why is this a problem for you? Second question, how did you find Cellbreaker? How did you happen to sign up with Cellbreaker? Do you remember what that path was? Was it a word of mouth referral? Were you on some blog or news site or something like that? Question number 3, can you just sort of tell me something that's top of mind that's been really positive about your experience with Cellbreaker so far? Let us know what we're doing right. And then the last question is just, okay, could you tell me something that's top of mind, just negative, about your experience with Cellbreaker so far, something that we just didn't really nail and we need to work on? Those 4 basic questions, that's basically how we drive growth at Cellbreaker. Getting qualitative data from feedback by just picking up the phone and talking to customers. And so I've seen Tom have success with this method. I've seen Rick have success with this method. And I really think this is such a basic method that any business owner, any person that's responsible for growth for their business, whether it's a small business, Main Street small business, or a startup, if you're not asking your questions, why do you buy from us, you're missing some very low-hanging fruit, and you're potentially investing in parts of your company that aren't actually driving growth. So you ask the question to customers, why do you buy from us? You get them to tell you in their own words, and then you're able to pinpoint exactly what's driving growth, why people keep coming back and buying from you. So that's my tip. This will be the video that I send in response to Rick, who asked me to send an email, and hopefully I'll be able to use this video for anyone else that asks me in the future. So hopefully we all learned something. Have a good one.